It's one of the most ordinary objects on Earth, and yet it has traveled to space, inspired global movements, and played a bigger role in history than you may think of. It's been a tool, a symbol, and at one point, even a silent sign of unity. The paperclip. It's one of those objects we take for granted. But this small loop of wire has silently held our world together for more than a century. You use it, forget it, and move on. But if you pause for a second and really think about it, the story of the paperclip is one of the most underrated tales of human creativity. Because this tiny invention represents everything that makes humans humans. Simplicity, persistence, and problem solving. Every great invention usually starts with something dramatic, an inventor in a lab, a spark of genius, or a life-changing discovery. But the paperclip story began with something painfully ordinary, a simple office problem that almost nobody thought was worth solving. In the late 1800s, paper was everywhere. Businesses, schools, governments, everything ran on it. There were stacks of documents lying everywhere. Letters, contracts, bills, reports, all mixed up. And to keep them together, people used straight pins, needles, even bits of thread. Those worked, but they damaged the papers and sometimes the fingers of the people using them. Ink would smear, pages would tear, and still, nobody had come up with anything better. Until one man noticed the mess. His name was Samuel B. Fay, an American inventor who in 1867 decided that there had to be an easier way to attach papers together. He came up with a simple idea: take a thin piece of wire, bend it in a loop, and make it hold things. He then filed a patent for what he called a bent wire clip. His original purpose was to attach tickets to fabric, but in the fine print, he mentioned that it could also be used to hold papers. That small line, hidden in the middle of a technical description, quietly changed the way people would organize information for the next 100 years. Fay's invention was clever but not perfect. Over the next few decades, dozens of inventors across the world tried to improve it. Some made it triangular, some made it square, and others used complicated spring mechanisms. But all of them were missing one thing: elegance. Then, in the 1890s, a British company called the Gem Manufacturing Company came up with something different. A small, double-looped clip made from a single piece of wire. It didn't need screws, it didn't poke holes, it didn't jam. It simply held papers together using tension and friction. The design was flawless. And the best part? It wasn't even patented. They just made it, and it spread. That small invention, known as the gem clip, became the gold standard. And even today, more than a century later, it's the same design sitting in your drawer. It's a rare thing in history for an invention to be so perfect that it doesn't need to change. But that's exactly what happened with the paperclip. Now, while the gem clip was taking over offices across Europe and America, a Norwegian inventor named Johan Voller was working on his own version. He filed patents for his design in 1899 and 1901. His paperclip was simpler, a straight wire folded twice. It didn't have the inner loop that makes the gem clip flexible. It didn't even work very well. But years later, when Norway was under Nazi occupation during World War II, the paperclip took on a completely new meaning. Norwegians were not allowed to wear their flag or any national symbol, so they began wearing paperclips on their jackets as a quiet sign of unity and resistance. It became a symbol of strength and solidarity. People wore them proudly to say, "We are bound together." What started as an office supply became a badge of courage. Think about that for a moment. A small piece of wire, designed to hold papers, became a national symbol of freedom. It shows how powerful even the simplest inventions can become when they connect with human emotion. From that moment on, the paperclip wasn't just stationery. It was history. And yet, even beyond its symbolic value, the paperclip is a design masterpiece. Engineers and designers often call it one of the most perfect inventions ever made. It's made from one continuous piece of steel wire, shaped in a way that uses tension to hold paper firmly but gently. It doesn't tear, it doesn't rust easily, and it springs back into shape even after hundreds of uses. Every curve in the clip has a purpose. The double loops distribute pressure evenly, and the bend at the end makes it easy to slide onto paper. It's an invention so efficient that improving it would almost make it worse. And that's why it's stayed the same since the 1890s. This tiny piece of wire has taught generations of inventors a simple truth. Sometimes, the smartest ideas are the simplest ones. You don't need complexity. You just need clarity. Today, the paperclip has found its way into nearly every aspect of life. More than 11 billion paperclips are made every year. They're used in schools, offices, factories, banks, and government buildings across the world. They've been to space with NASA. They've been turned into art, jewelry, sculptures, and even fashion accessories. And it didn't stop there. When computers came along and people started sending emails, the paperclip got a second life. The icon for Attach File in your email app, it's a paperclip. The metaphor survived. Even when the world went digital, the paperclip stayed as a symbol of connection. It became so iconic that Microsoft used it as their virtual assistant in the early 2000s. Remember Clippy? The little animated helper with googly eyes that popped up on Microsoft Word? That wasn't random. It was based on the paperclip because the paperclip had already become the universal symbol of help and organization. From paper desks to digital desktops, the clip never disappeared. And then came one of the most surprising paperclip stories of all. In 2005, a man named Kyle McDonald in Canada decided to test the limits of human creativity. He took one red paperclip and started trading it online. First, he traded it for a pen, then for a doorknob, then for a camping stove. Trade by trade, item by item, the paperclip grew in value. 14 trades later, Kyle had exchanged that one red paperclip for a 2-story house.
I'm Kyle, and this paperclip changed my life. I was suddenly reminded of a childhood game where you take small, useless things and trade them for bigger and better things. Girls with the fish pen wanted to trade with me to get the game going because they thought it was a really funny idea.
It was a real-life story of imagination, persistence, and the strange magic of small beginnings. The one red paperclip experiment became a global sensation. And once again, the humble paperclip turned into something bigger than itself. A reminder that even the smallest things can create huge change if we use them creatively. There's something very human about that story, because the paperclip itself is a symbol of resilience. It's flexible, but not weak. It bends, but it doesn't break. It's small, but it does its job perfectly. In a way, it reflects us. We bend under pressure. We hold things together. And when the pressure lifts, we bounce back into shape. That's why it feels comforting to hold one. It's predictable, balanced, and useful. It brings order to chaos. It's the quiet helper in every home and every office. It's fascinating how such a small invention could outlive entire industries. The typewriter disappeared, fax machines disappeared, floppy disks disappeared, but the paperclip stayed. Because it solved a simple problem in a timeless way. It didn't need electricity, updates, or replacements. It just worked. And that's the magic of it. The paperclip doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't have a logo or a marketing campaign. It doesn't go viral. It just quietly does its job, holding our lives together, one piece of paper at a time. Every big company, every government, every school, every household depends on it, even if they never notice. It's one of those rare creations that connect all humans across countries, generations, and languages. And that's why the paperclip is one of the world's most underdog inventions. It doesn't make headlines, it doesn't change shape, and it doesn't evolve with trends. But it remains indispensable. It's a daily reminder that true innovation doesn't always come from big laboratories or massive budgets. It often starts with a simple question: is there a better way to do this? That's what Samuel Fay asked himself more than 150 years ago. And that single question led to one of the most enduring designs in history. So the next time you pick up a paperclip to hold your notes or your bills, remember what you're holding. It's not just a loop of wire. It's a piece of history, a symbol of unity, a masterpiece of design, and a perfect example of how small ideas can make a massive difference. Because in the end, the paperclip isn't just about holding paper. It's about holding things together. Our work, our ideas, our stories, even our lives. And maybe that's the real reason it's never gone out of style. It reminds us that greatness doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it just clicks quietly into place. If you have made it till here, don't forget to subscribe to Seriously Interesting. And if you want to know how a little boy invented Roblox from his garage, watch this video.